Okay, let's start with a wild idea. What if the world, the whole world around you, wasn't just alive, but actually aware? Today, we're going to dive into some really fascinating material that asks a question that might just change how you see, well, everything. Are entire ecosystems conscious?
Yeah, I know. It sounds a little out there, right? Almost like something from a sci-fi movie. But the source material we're looking at really pushes us to ask, what if our whole idea of what consciousness even is has been way too narrow, too human?
So, here's the core of it. It's all about a huge shift in perspective. You've got the old idea on one side. Consciousness is this little private light. It's fragile, it's rare, and it's locked up inside a skull. But then there's this new idea, a much bigger one. What if it's more like a shared pattern? Something tough that can grow and scale and that exists within a whole system. Let's dig into what that actually means.
First, let's start on familiar ground. You know, the idea we all basically grew up with. Consciousness, neatly tucked away in a box. For centuries, this has been the default setting, right? Science has pretty much treated awareness like it's a very local thing. It's something that happens in here, inside our skulls, and it looks out at the world out there. It's a nice, clean line between us and everything else. But, and this is a big but, nature rarely draws such clean lines.
And this is where that neat, tidy model really starts to fall apart. What if you can have intelligence, or something that looks an awful lot like it, without a central brain at all?
Just think about a single ant. On its own, it's pretty lost. It doesn't have a grand architectural plan. It's just following a few simple, pre-programmed rules. But you get thousands of them together, and wow, suddenly you've got these incredible, complex structures. You've got ventilation shafts, nurseries, organized societies. A whole city just emerges from the collective action. There's no single ant architect calling the shots. Now, let's bring that idea a little closer to home. Think about a single neuron in your brain. One cell. It doesn't have thoughts. It doesn't feel joy or sadness. It's basically just a little biological switch that's either on or off. But you network billions of them together. Now you've got a brain. Now you can fall in love, see the color blue, write a song. The feeling, the experience, it isn't in any of the individual parts. It rises up from the whole. And this is a concept called emergence. Honestly, it's kind of the secret sauce for this whole idea. You get this incredibly complex, coordinated behavior that just appears from a bunch of simple interactions. There's no boss, no blueprint, no coordinator. And you really got to grasp this to see where we're going next. So if this kind of intelligence can just emerge, where else should we be looking for it? Well, it turns out there are hidden networks all around us. Let's look at microbial biofilms. These things are not just slimy patches of bacteria. They're incredibly sophisticated. They act like one single coordinated organism. They can sense threats in their environment, they share and allocate resources, and they can completely restructure themselves to survive an attack. No single microbe is in charge, but the whole system acts with this spooky coherence. Or, get this, forests. We're now learning they're all connected by this massive underground network of fungi. People call it the Wood Wide Web, which is pretty cool. Through this web, trees can literally send food to their neighbors who are struggling. They can even send out warning signals like, hey, pests are attacking over here, which triggers a chemical defense across the whole forest. So when you think about it, chopping down a forest, it's not just removing trees. It's like cutting the wires on a massive communication grid. And you can scale this up, way up, to the whole planet. The Earth's atmosphere and oceans are constantly talking to each other through these giant feedback loops. They work together to regulate temperature and chemistry, behaving almost like a single biological organism, trying to maintain balance. Which, of course, brings us to the biggest question of them all. If all these parts of the planet show this kind of emergent intelligence, what about the whole shebang? This quote from the material is so important. This isn't some mystical, new age idea. It's a systems thinking approach to the Gaia hypothesis. The point isn't that the Earth is thinking or feeling like a person. The point is that the entire planetary system behaves as if it were a single, coherent, self-regulating entity. And that system has a memory. Think about it. After every single mass extinction event in Earth's history, life has found a way to reorganize itself into new patterns. That ability to learn from the past and adapt is a form of memory.
It's just not written in neurons. It's written in rock, in chemistry, in the very flow of energy through the biosphere. Okay, so this is the moment where all this abstract, mind-bending stuff becomes incredibly real and incredibly important. What does this way of thinking mean for us, right now? When you start thinking this way, it totally changes how you see our own actions. Look at this. In the old view, pollution is, just getting rid of trash. But in a systems view, it's like jamming a network signal. Deforestation isn't just clearing land, it's more like a cognitive amputation, cutting off a piece of the mind. In climate change, it stops being just a warming problem and starts looking like a massive failure in the planet's own regulatory system. And this is the bottom line. We have to stop thinking of ourselves as being outside of nature, just tinkering with it. We're not. We are inside this massive, interconnected system. And right now, we're behaving like a part of the body that's forgotten it belongs to the whole.
So, after all that, let's bring it home. What's the real question we should be asking ourselves? Because according to the source material, trying to prove whether a forest feels pain in the same way a human does, that's probably the wrong question. It's a dead end.
And this is the real challenge. It flips the whole thing on its head. The burden of proof isn't on the forest to prove it's conscious. The burden is on us. Are we mature enough to just act as if it might be? To treat the world with a bit of humility, a bit of caution, acknowledging there might be a whole lot more going on than we see? Because, and this is the thought that'll stick with you, if we are surrounded by all this complex, adaptive, information processing intelligence, and we can't even see it, what does that failure ultimately say about our so-called intelligence? Really makes you think, doesn't it?